Welcome back to a Closer Look across the Village Media Network and available wherever you get your favorite podcast, including YouTube. I'm Scott Sexsmith. Michael Friscolanti, he is back.
I can't leave. The house. Can't leave for like 3 days.
We missed you around here.
Oh, my phone's just blowing up.
Not for me. I did not bug you.
Just a couple times.
Well, maybe once or twice.
That's all right. It's okay. It's the way it goes.
Just to tell you we were thinking about it.
The news never ends. The news never sleeps. What's the old cliche? There's always something going on.
Always. As there was here. Zach Trunzo in for Derek Turner tonight. Derek back later this week. No, actually, he's off. I don't know who approved that, but he's not back till next week.
Who, Derek?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't say where he is. It's top secret. It's classified.
It's an undisclosed location.
It's classified information.
Yes.
Personal data.
On assignment, right?
I'm sure he's working hard.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. Yeah, no. He's working hard at
seriously, someone needs to let me know these vacation requests before they get approved.
I know. I don't know who's approving this stuff, but it's not being run by us. Okay, let's talk about the Canadian Cancer Society. Right now, they're trying to advocate to have the screening age for colorectal cancer screening reduced from 50 to 45.
Yeah, it's a story that's been in the news lately. We've seen in various across Canada and various parts of the United States and other jurisdictions, colorectal cancer rates have really gone up among younger people at a pretty alarming rate, right? Yeah. And they don't necessarily know exactly why. They have their suspicions. It's lifestyle issues, but they're seeing a lot more younger people under the age of 45 being diagnosed in later stages of the disease.
Yeah.
So last week, the Canadian Cancer Society announced that they want to lower the age at which screening starts to happen from 50 to 45. And they support the idea of sending the kits that they're using, the at-home kits you can use to test for this kind of screen for it, offering all Canadians their stool tests every 2 years from 45 until 74, I guess, to kind of look for early evidence of colorectal cancer. So they've been promoting this. They're calling on governments across the country to do this. And it's sad because we have heard of cases, people know people who colorectal cancer is not something you think of when you're in your 30s or 40s.
No.
But we're seeing more and more of these cases. So they're on top of this. The Canadian Cancer Society wants to lower the age of screening across the country. They've gotten a lot of headlines over this.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk to someone from the Canadian Cancer Society.
Yeah, we are. Brandon Purcell's going to join us. Brandon is the Advocacy Manager of Prevention and Early Detection at the Canadian Cancer Society. For years, colorectal cancer has been thought of as a disease that shows up later in life, something you start worrying about at age 50. But that assumption is starting to look dangerously outdated. New data shows younger adults are being diagnosed at sharply higher rates, often later when the cancer is harder to treat. Now the Canadian Cancer Society is calling for a major shift, lowering the routine screening age to 45. They say it could prevent more than 15,000 cases and save over 6,000 lives in the coming decades. Brandon Purcell is the Advocacy Manager for Prevention and Early Detection at the Canadian Cancer Society, and he's pushing for that change. And Brandon joins us tonight from Ottawa. Brandon, welcome to the program. We appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to chat with you.
Brandon, we've long associated colorectal cancer with people over 50. So what's driving this shift towards younger diagnosis, and how confident are researchers in that trend?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're seeing a lot more younger folks that are getting diagnosed with colorectal cancer. We're actually at the point where folks who are in that 45 to 50-year-old age range they're 2 to 2.5 times more likely to be diagnosed with colorectal cancer than folks in previous generations, which is a pretty striking stat. Last year, there were 2,000 Canadians alone in that age bracket that were diagnosed with colorectal cancer, and that's without having access to a screening program. So we know unfortunately, there are more folks out there who have colorectal cancer, and they just don't know it. In terms of a cause, unfortunately, we don't really have one sort of smoking gun, so to speak. We know certainly that things like genetics plays a factor. So if a relative has had colorectal cancer, you're certainly at increased risk. But other things like and just your individual habits day to day can play an impact. About 45% of all colorectal cancer cases can be prevented just by maintaining a good diet, refraining from smoking, keeping alcohol intake down, and having good exercise, because those good habits compound over your lifetime to improve your chances just the same way that bad habits do.
You touched on it, Brandon. Thank you for that. But the question of why is the big one. People are reading the headlines the last couple of weeks. Any more insight you can offer on the why?
Like I said, there's a number of reasons. Unfortunately, certainly some things we talk about are highly processed foods play some role. We at the Canadian Cancer Society are looking to zero in sort of on how much of a role that actually is. So we've put some money towards some research on that issue in particular. We know smoking is a contributor to colorectal cancer. We know that alcohol is alongside 8 other cancers.
That's a great point. I guess this is a dumb question, Brandon, but at the Canadian Cancer Society, a lot of the things you're warning against are similar for a lot of cancers, right? A lot of it is lifestyle driven. Can you speak to that in terms of how much is lifestyle driven and how much is maybe environment or other genetic things?
Yeah, certainly. The math is quite close to about half of all cancer cases can be prevented through just maintaining healthy lifestyle habits. It's quite a dramatic number that we can get down just by doing some of those simple things like having a good workout regimen, having a good diet, and refraining from smoking. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but it really can just be that simple.
It's important
to get those cases down.
Brandon, the modeling suggests thousands of cases and deaths could be prevented by making this change that we're talking about today. What assumptions are those projections based on, and how strong is the consensus behind them? And is this one of those rare moments where the data is maybe ahead of the policy?
It's a great question, and really, the effect that the change will have is providing that early detection. Because when a cancer, including colorectal cancer or any, is found early, it makes all the difference in the world to the person who's receiving that diagnosis. Because when it's found early in those earlier stages, it is so much easier to treat. The likelihood of survival is so much higher. So just as an example on colorectal cancer, when it's found early, stage 1 or so, or if they're even better in that pre-cancer stage where they're looking for polyps, your chances of survival past 5 years are over 90%. But when it's found in the later stages, stage 4, that number decreases dramatically down to about 15%. And that's why, despite the fact that colorectal cancer is not one of our highest diagnosed, it is definitely the second deadliest after lung.
Are there symptoms that show up, Brandon, before people even get screened? Are there things that you can be looking for?
There are certain symptoms. I'll just say off the top, I'm not a physician, so I can't offer medical advice, but some of those things that are certainly symptoms are a lot of prolonged intestinal pain, blood in the stool, bleeding from the rectum, are those sorts of things that could indicate you should definitely be chatting with your physician. But we really want people to be able to proactively go for that screening. So what we're talking about today is for folks to have access in that younger age demographic to something called a FIT test, which stands for fecal immunochemical test. It's a complex term that I trip over myself with for something that's actually quite simple. And what it is a kit that can be mailed to you. So it's a test you can actually do in the comfort of your own home. You don't have to go to your doctor to do it. You don't have to go to a lab to do it. You can have a kit mailed to you, and what you'll find in there is a sort of test tube and a stick. What you're going to do is take the stick, just grab a sample after you take a poop, put that back in, put it in the bag, and send it to the lab. It may not be, it may be a little gross, but it's a simple thing that you can do to stay on top of your cancer risk.
Brandon, for people who hear screening and think colonoscopy, it's not that. So, and I know you just touched on it a little bit, but so what does it look like? How accessible is it? And maybe describe that screening process for us.
Absolutely. So colonoscopy is certainly something that happens along the diagnostic pathway, but thankfully it's not the first step. So it's what happens when there are signs that are more worrying. So that FIT test is something that you're able to do in the comfort of your own home. It's a stick that comes in a test tube that you use to take a small poop sample, pop it in the vial, and send it in the mail back to a lab. If there's something that looks concerning, then then your physician or the cancer program will get in touch with you and say, "Hey, we've picked up something on your test. We're gonna perhaps have you in for a colonoscopy." So that's the second step.
I appreciate that. Obviously, this is what's concerning to people is just the fact, like we talked about, that it's younger people that are getting diagnosed with this or getting impacted with it. Are there personal stories you can share? I mean, there's obviously that shock value, that shock level that happens too when it's someone younger, not expecting to get this kind of cancer at that young age. Any personal stories you can share with us, Brandon?
I mean, certainly we are getting more of these cases every single year. The real impetus behind this is that we've been seeing this trend. It's not just something that we see in Canada. Other countries have seen this trend where younger folks are being diagnosed with these cancers at an earlier age, and missing out on having that opportunity to screen means that for those folks who might be getting this early onset cancer, that when it is eventually found later in life, that it's almost certainly going to be at one of those more advanced stages where it's going to be harder to treat, and the likelihood of survival is going to be lower. That's why it's so important that Ontario is able to bring this age down to 45 just to give those folks access to that screening.
Brandon, if someone's watching or listening to Closer Look tonight that is 45 or 50 years of age and assumes, you know what, I'm far too young to worry about this, what do you say to those people?
What I say is it's important for all of us to stay on top of our health. We each have one precious life, and we want to be doing everything we can to take care of ourselves. And it's sometimes very simple things that we can do to take care of ourselves, to make sure we're living happy and long lives. It's eating fruits and veggies, and on occasion, once every 2 years, it's going to be taking a poop sample and putting it in the envelope.
Appreciate all this, Brandon. What else is on the radar of the Canadian Cancer Society right now that's kind of on the top of the page?
Well, there's certainly never any shortage of things that we're talking about. One thing that we're certainly focused on right now is bringing in new and innovative ways for folks to have access to innovative therapies. So we're very cognizant of the fact that there's a shortage of basically everything when it comes to our health system, unfortunately. So we want to find those workarounds and new ways where it's possible to bring new and innovative treatments. So we're talking a lot about improving access to clinical trials, so that when folks are having that first conversation with the doctor, the very difficult conversation after hearing those horrible words, "You have cancer," that there are more options available to them than talking about radiation and talking about those other therapies.
Anything else to add, Brandon, before we let you go tonight?
I appreciate you taking the time to cover this subject. It's an important one. If folks who are listening are interested in helping us out, certainly would encourage you to write to your MPP and tell them that this is going to be a life-saving measure. It's going to make a real difference for folks across the province. And from the crass political sense, it's going to save the government money.
All right, there's Brandon Purcell, the Advocacy Manager of Prevention and Early Detection at the Canadian Cancer Society. Brandon, appreciate your time tonight. Thank you. So much better to have the testing option to do it at home. You know, it's just a little more comfortable. What surprised me that Brandon said was colorectal cancer next to lung cancer, the number 2 cancer.
Number 2. I would say it kind of threw me off when I heard it. I never thought of that. You know, cancer is a terrible friggin' thing, Scott. I've talked on the show openly, and honestly, I've been dealing with cancer for almost a decade now. Had kidney cancer, took my kidney out, metastasized, had all kinds of crazy surgery done to cut me up like a fish. And I'm always in awe of these people that work in cancer research or cancer advocacy, because this stuff makes a difference. These people are, if people get screened earlier, they're going to catch it earlier, they're going to save lives. So I hope if we have a small part in relaying that message to people that there's ways to stay on top of this stuff, then do it, because he's right. You get one life, brother. You get one chance. So you take advantage of it, and you enjoy it. I'm grateful to be here. Not so much sitting here with you, but here in general.
Get what you pay for.
And I'm just kidding.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel, and you can obviously speak to this, more intimately than most, do you feel like we're closer to finding a cure?
I don't know if finding a cure, but I can tell you of its personal journey. Anyone who's dealt with cancer in a significant way and has gone through that journey is, I think, what blew me away. And I think the journalist in me was blown, because I'm kind of learning as I go, right?
Yeah.
Just how far they've come. Like, the thing, I should be dead. I mean, I should be dead. And I was told that. And what they were able to do for me to take out this metastasized chunk of cancer was just, it's phenomenal. It's out of this world what they were able to do. And so cure, who knows? But I think the amount of people that they've kept alive and the advancements they've made. And I always think back to that conversation we had with Terry Fox's brother,
I was just thinking about that.
It was just such a powerful conversation about how that, so many people have done amazing research and helped with the advancements that we have. And then you have a guy like Terry who did that run that is still, it makes me emotional thinking of how much.
No question.
What did Daryl say? It's raised $1 billion in cancer research. So, and then you have the Canadian Cancer Society doing the kind of advocacy work they do and getting that message out and staying on top of it. Even just think of the fight they took on over smoking for decades.
Right. Yeah.
Canadian Cancer Society was leading that fight, right?
Certainly were.
About getting warning labels, getting the they basically not single-handed, but they basically helped lead the charge to basically wipe out the cigarette industry, right? You don't even know they're for sale anymore. They're stuck behind a counter somewhere. So I just think there's so many people doing amazing things. I'm not a doctor at all. Do I think there could be a cure? Who knows? But in terms of treatments, you think of Terry Fox, the cancer he had, he'd be alive today. They would have treated it and found ways to keep him going. And it didn't for him. And that was how many years ago? Almost 5 decades ago.
That's crazy.
Right? So we've come a long way. This is always, this topic hits home. So if you are in your 40s and I think it's worth your time to ask for this toolkit.
Do it.
Take the test. You get one chance, one shot at it, and then enjoy it and then try to be as healthy as you can. I think that's the message.
All right. Appreciate you sharing that.
No
We're
problem.
glad you're here.
Right on, baby.
Most days. Closer look at villagemedia.ca. Reach out anytime. We would love to hear from you. And by all means, sign up to receive our show right into your inbox every night. Closerlookpodcast.ca. For Michael Friscolanti, our editor-in-chief here at Village Media, I'm Scott Sexsmith. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night at 7 right here on Closer Look.
Frisco and Scott's Wardrobe provided in part by Moores, Sault Ste. Marie.